Hi everyone, Dr. Vaughn. I'm going to make a video. This is by request for assignment 15.2 practice, and I'm in particular going to look at just question number 2 on this 15.2 practice. So what we're doing is some simple regression and then doing some predictions with those regression models. We're going to do with one variable and then the other, and then a multiple regression model, and using this data. Now, unlike question number 1, you actually have a data file that you can download into Excel. This one doesn't have the data file, so I'm going to just do a simple cut and paste of the data, copy, and paste into a blank Excel sheet. I'm going to skip a line or two and paste it in down here. Now, you notice one thing, there's this little green mark on here, and that's because, if you click on it, it actually gives you an error message. And it says that this number is being stored as a text. If you try to do it right now, you'll get an error message with the data analysis tool pack because it's interpreting this as a text character instead of a number. I'm just going to do this, convert that one number to a number. Now all of these are stored as numbers. Now the other thing I'm going to do is add up here just the labels, just to remind me without having to go back and forth. This is X1, this is X2, and these are the Ys. All right, so now I'm going to go into the data analysis tool pack in order to run the regression. And we first want the y hat, the predicted y value, using x1. So we're going to do regression with y as the dependent variable and x1 as the independent variable. Data analysis, and we'll go to the regression tool. And in the regression tool, we just input the y range, and I'll click and drag. I'm not going to include the labels in this case, and then I'll click and drag through the x values. I'm not including the labels. I don't need any of these other residuals, confidence intervals, and the output I'm just going to put maybe down here at the bottom. I'll press OK. And here we have our regression model. Now, when you're looking at this table, it gives you some statistics that I don't need for this particular problem. All I really need is these two numbers right here. These are the coefficients that go into the regression model. One of them is the intercept. That's the number that doesn't have an x variable next to it, and then the x variable that goes right here. And we want this to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to just copy these numbers and paste them in, or just type them in. 48.21 is the intercept value, and the coefficient of the x is going to be 1.899. That is going to round to 1.90. All right. And now I want to do a prediction. Now, if the x value is 45 plugged into this linear model, we want to predict the y value. Here's the easy way to do this. I'm going to actually put the x value here and then the y hat, which is the predicted y value. And I'm going to type the input value here, 45. I'm going to let Excel do the computation for me. So I'm going to do equals the intercept, which is a cell reference to B31 in my case, plus the input value, 45, that's the x, times the coefficient. Now, again, I could have done that in the other order. I could have done the coefficient times the x value. It doesn't matter. And so I'll let it do the computation of the predicted y value, 133.66, and again to 2 decimal places, and type it in over here. Now, I'll do what a lot of you might do is kind of check your work just to make sure that I've done this part correctly, and then we'll go on and do these other 2 parts. So what's different about them? All right, well, when I go to now do part B, I just need to run back to the data and the data analysis tool pack and pull up the regression, and everything's going to be the same. The only thing is that the x range now is going to be over here. And you can put the output somewhere different, or in my case, I'm just going to overwrite the output that I already have with the new numbers because I don't need them anymore. All right, so we overwrote the numbers. So the new coefficient now, when I ran this with x2, is 84.17. That's going to go here. The x variable, 4.30. And now we'll do that prediction thing. So I'm going to put the x value in, and then the y hat, the predicted y value. In this case, the x value that we're plugging in is 15. And so I'll calculate this by taking the intercept plus the coefficient times the input value and get 148.67. All right, now we're ready to do this third one. Now in the third one, we're going to use both x1 and x2 to build a multiple regression model. All right, so for this one, what I want to do is actually take all of these data. I'm just going to cut them and paste it over so that they're right next to each other. The x1 and the x2 are right next to each other. I suppose I could just kind of delete all of column B also. That's another way of doing it. And okay, so now when I go to the data analysis tool pack and go to regression, so the y values are now in column D because I deleted that row. But when I go to do the X range, what I'm going to do is click and drag through both. So I have both the X1 and the X2. And again, we'll put the output down here at the bottom and overwrite everything that I had before. And I'll press OK. All right, so this time what happens now is we get this, this intercept and the two different X coefficients. Now, because I didn't include the labels, you're going to have to remember which one was first and which one was second. All right, but these are the numbers that are going to go right into our model over here. So in this case, the coefficient is negative 20.599, so negative 20.6, negative 20.60. The X1 is going to be 1.989, that rounds to 1.99. And the X2 is going to be 4.918, that's going to round to 4.92. And now we'll do the predicted value when X1 and X2 are 45 and 15. Right, so now down here, I'm going to put in an X1 value, an X2 value, and then the Y hat. So the X1 value that we're going to use to plug in is 45. The X2 value is 15. And to compute the predicted Y value, I take the intercept plus the X1 coefficient times the X1 input plus the X2 coefficient times the X2 input and calculate 142.68. And let's see how we did. All right, there you go. And that's how you do single and multiple regression using the data analysis tool pack. And in this case, we had to do a little bit of data manipulation because the data weren't given to us immediately in Excel. We need to have it in a workable format in Excel in order to use the tool. I hope this has been helpful. I'll talk to you again soon.